Breaking news on the Jackson County property assessments. Late this evening, the Missouri State Tax Commission makes a stunning move, declaring 75% of property assessments were incorrect and must be paid back to property owners.
We don't have this money anymore, right? How we unwind this, what that's going to look like, is the next step.
Something criminal is happening in the economy as it becomes clearer and clearer that fraud is what's holding the entire economy together. And so today, Mitch Vexler and I are putting together this breaking video to inform you guys on what's going on behind the scenes. The amount of people that are coming forward to expose the value fraud is unbelievable. In fact, before I just hit record right now, I had a homeowner reach out to me asking for help. And so today, you guys, what we're going to do is show you guys breaking news on how the school districts, the school districts 2 days ago are acknowledging they're bankrupt. They're acknowledging that they're bankrupt and need the CADs to remove the rights of the homeowners to protest the values. You guys, this situation is absolutely out of control. And not only that, we're also going to show you guys that this is not just a Texas problem. This is a nationwide problem, and it goes past and far beyond the school district. As also, one thing we're going to point out is unemployment is broke. We don't even have enough money for the 4% unemployment. And you guys, we're going to end by taking a look at something called Operation Twist, which I believe is the birth of a new regime of corruption and fraud. And before I begin, Mitch, sir, how you doing today? Happy Monday.
Very nice to see you again. And it's been a very long several hours. We got busy this morning, literally at 2 o'clock in the morning, courtesy of Emily Wolf from the Fort Worth Reporter. And an article showed up, and it confirms everything without exception of what we have been saying in these videos. I'm
excited to show the viewers. And another thing I forgot to mention to the viewers, we're going to read a letter that Mitch wrote to a judge. So, behind the scenes, Mitch is trying to cut the feet out from underneath him, but we need your help. And so Mitch will also go into the stats on how many people are stepping up. And it is super depressing because almost nobody is stepping up to fight. Almost nobody. And so, Mitch, let me begin showing the viewers what you sent me. I think this was 2 days ago. You guys see the date right here. I mean, this is so shocking because I'm going to read to you guys what Fort Worth has requested. This is freaking nuts, you guys. And again, this is August 9th. So this was a couple days ago, and a few bullet points that I want to, review here. What's happened is essentially this, the CAD has frozen property values, meaning they're trying to have it to where homeowners can no longer fight the protest. This is shocking. Now, this is what it says. Under the new reappraisal plan, given the green light on August 9th, this sucks, the appraisal district will freeze residential market values in 2025 and switch to a 2-year residential appraisal schedule and establish a 5% threshold to raise residential values in the future. Each policy will result in greater value stagnation for residential properties, which is 100% fraud. Nowhere in the appraisal codes of conduct and the USPAP does it say anything about stagflation and anything about these caps and hitting the ISD budgets. This is so crazy. This goes on, guys. For Carroll ISD, which covers South Lakes and parts of Northeast Tarrant County, the 2025 value freeze could spell trouble. This is crazy. The taxable property values in the district are about 11% below market value with our 3 months of sales data, Chief Appraiser John Bobbitt told board members. So Mitch, I wanted to pause here for a second, because first of all, it's not below market value. First of all, it's probably 11% above market value, but I want the viewers to understand what this man is saying. He's essentially saying that even with the freeze, preventing people from protesting, allowing a 5% increase in value, even with that fraud, even with stripping the taxpayers the right to protest, it's still not enough to save the school district. They need maximum fraud. Only maximum fraud and overvaluation would save these schools. That's what's so surprising. They can't make the current fraud work. He cautioned the data is preliminary, and this goes on. If the value trend remains through the rest of the year, freezing values in 2025 means the district could fail the state's property value study and lose millions of dollars as a result. So what I'm pointing out is the states put pressure on these schools to commit fraud. Okay, they're saying if you don't hit a certain threshold, we take away all your funding. Now, I want to read this as well, okay? Because this is very clear that who's winning here is the actual districts. It's not the taxpayer, it's not our children, and it's not the teachers. That's a gamble you run. Appraisal District Board Chair said you can lock property values in any given time, and that market can be going up, and that benefits the taxpayers, which that's not happening right now. So we don't get any benefits, but this continues. Or the market can drop dramatically. Yes, that's what's happening. And now they want to lock in the property values. Do you guys get it? Values have stagnated, especially in Texas. A lot of places they're actually going down. So don't think that they want to help the taxpayer. They are worried that they're going to collect less money because the values are actually going down. We don't win. Values aren't going up because we can't afford the values, and they're already 10% overvalued. Let me just read a couple more things. School officials across the county previously told the Fort Worth report that stagnant property values, here we go, will disrupt the complicated state funding formula. Isn't that USPAP? I mean, have they even adopted USPAP? Schools are governed by and make it harder to complete infrastructure investments. And I put here, Mitch, this is why value is no longer what someone pays. You know, and Lance, some pretty famous housing guy, you know, he's like, Travis, the real value is what someone pays. And I'm like, well, then sell me your house for $1 and I'll show you otherwise, because the CADs don't allow real value. They're not allowing it. Value is no longer, Mitch, what someone's willing to pay. That's no longer true. They won't allow us to drop it. Now, I just wanted to read this and we'll end here. Public schools have taken quite a hit financially, particularly in the last 7 years. Frankly, I'm not sure that they can take one more hit, and this will definitely be a hit to public schools. I want to get your reaction on that, Mitch. But, you know, to freeze the property values to begin with and allow that 5% increase and then lying to the owner saying your values are on average 11% under market without giving us the math is straight criminal. It's straight fraud. Mitch, can I get your response to that? And then I want to move on over to the stats on people that are fighting and then move on to the judge's letter. What do you think about that school district and what they're asking for?
Well, it's not just that school district. If you read that letter carefully, Emily did a good job breaking down all the school districts that are in the Tarrant County area. And the reality is it didn't go far enough, because you have to understand what they're saying. What they're literally saying is, we are bankrupt. We need more money. You have to take it from the taxpayers. And by definition, as I've said in the past, A, the school districts are bankrupt. B, what you're literally looking at in that letter, in that news article, is a full-blown explanation of RICO. The school districts, being the taxing entities, are in fact racketeers. They are racketeering. You, the taxpayer, owe us this money. Give it to us or we will take your property. That conforms to every definition under RICO. To you district attorneys, wake the hell up. You couldn't get a better article than what's sitting right in front of you. It names names, gives the school district. By the way, there's a tape recording of it. So that new meeting was 7 hours in length. So the amount of problems that are enumerated here literally confirms every single thing we have said in these videos since day one. It confirms every single thing that's on the Mockingbird Properties website /DCAT. It's all there. We're handing it to the DAs. We're handing it to the property owners on a silver platter. They cannot get away from the laws that they violated. We created a 10-page document that outlines every law that's being violated here. Now, how did we do that in advance of this article coming out? Because clearly the laws have been broken for a very long period of time. The world is just beginning to wake up and smell the coffee. So it's a good article. It's great.
You know, the issue here, though, Mitch, is not enough people are waking up. Not enough people are joining the cause. Not yet, right? We are growing. And so if possible, I'd like you to bring out that, you know, those stats that you have. And I want the viewers to think about what Mitch is about to go over with you. He's going to read, you know, how many people actually stood up and protested. And it's not that hard. You click a button, you show up. They're not going to give you that much break, but you're going to get some value break. And when I read this, Mitch, it broke my heart, because what it demonstrates to us is people they're not standing up. They're not standing up. Can you read those stats, Mitch?
Yeah, I think you have to understand why people don't get involved. They have been gaslit for so many years, at least since 2016, under the theory that the CADs, and even Chuck Saling himself said it in the deposition, where DCAD and the public is just going to have to trust us. That's literally what he said. We've got it in the deposition. So therefore, if that is their attitude at the CADs and the public is being gaslit, well, Don Spencer stands up and says the median household value is $514,000. Well, we've already proven that that isn't true. But again, that's gaslighting the public. So what the public hears is just a straight up lie. Well, that's why they don't get involved. They don't understand what USPAP is. They don't understand how to put a comp grid together. So as long as you realize what the problems are under the hood with mom and pop not getting involved, now you have to tell the truth on how they can get involved. And to that point, I wrote a document early this morning that literally lays out how to bankrupt a CAD, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. Bankrupting the CADs is one of those ways. So you could take what we're about to discuss and apply it to your CADs in any state, right? The percentages are going to be very similar. So DCAD receives approximately 137,000 filed value complaints per year. DCAD is roughly 510,000 property counts. DCAD's ARB panel hears roughly 4,000 to 5,000 protests per year. 52% of the files and or complaints are a no-show. DCAD knows this in their calculations. There's a shortage of appraisers, RPAs. There are roughly 508 lawsuits filed per year by property owners past the ARB hearings. The ARB has a budget. Budgets are available for review at your local CAD, regardless of what state you're in. The CAD has a budget. Budgets are available for review at your local CAD. The CADs offer a one-person ARB hearing. Do not do this. Stand by, because you will have very little success when you're there. The CADs offer binding arbitration. Don't do this either, as you stand very little success of being successful. DCAD and the vast majority of CADs, clearly, because we have the evidence and people are calling from across the United States, ignore USPAP and thus violated the taxpayers' rights of due process under the 5th and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, as well as violating a host of state and federal laws. The CADs have stolen hundreds of billions of dollars from unsuspecting property owners via cumulative fraud, at least since 2016. And it goes on. So the ultimate issue is, with regard to how to bankrupt the CADs, follow through on all overvaluations by going to the ARB 3-person panel at a minimum. And every individual property owner, be it commercial or residential, doesn't matter, can do this. You don't have to hire consultants. You can simply look at your comps and take those comps in. By you going and insisting on a 3-person ARB panel, you will make it. If you can double the amount of ARB protests, the CADs can't operate. They don't have the manpower.
Mitch, I want to reiterate a huge point that I hope that the viewers understood. You guys pay attention to what he's doing, because he's giving you the blueprint. And I just want to reiterate, okay, and this is so heartbreaking to me, out of 510,000 properties, the ARB heard 5,000 cases, of which only 52% canceled? You guys, that means, okay, that less than 1% of homeowners are following through with their protest, meaning the elites know this. They know if 1% or less of the people actually are taking the initiative to fight them, that they can get away with it. All I'm saying, guys, and I'll let you finish, Mitch, is don't be one of those 505,000 homeowners that are just whining and crying and wondering why they can't afford the property taxes. Do something about it and join the movement, guys. I'm sorry, Mitch.
So do not settle at pre-hearing meetings. Now, obviously, everybody's circumstances are a little bit different, but generally speaking, if you go to a pre-hearing meeting, they're going to try and cut a deal with you, and that has literally nothing to do with what USPAP is about. The idea of a pre-hearing is to negotiate a value down so you go away. Doesn't change the fact that they've committed fraud by completely ignoring USPAP. Pre-hearing meetings is just a used car salesman tactic where they needed to go to the back room to get permission, and does nothing to stop the cumulative fraud that has been committed against the property owners year after year. If the values as determined by the ARB panel are in violation of USPAP because the ARB is parroting the statements made by the RPA concerning the value with comparisons that are not comparisons under USPAP and Mass Appraisal Standards, state property tax code, again, applicable to any state, and state constitution, then file a lawsuit against the CAD, chief appraiser, RPAs for committing perjury, ARB panel is joint and severally liable for violating the property owner's constitutional rights. By doubling the amount of lawsuits, and the CAD is effectively, any of the CADs would be effectively bankrupt. Just like their masters, the school district taxing entities are bankrupt. Do not agree to top-line agreements. File suit against the individuals, chief appraiser, board of directors, ARB members, who violated their oath. File criminal complaints where justified. Record every meeting with every CAD. When you walk in and have a meeting, record it. The CADs do have recorded records, and they are audio records. The problem is, as we have discovered firsthand, a lot of those tapes disappear. Oh, we lost it. Oh, we can't find it. Yeah, we even have in a deposition that admitted that after a subpoena, the records were destroyed. Look at the math of your individual circumstances. Unfortunately, in the single-family realm, it may not pay to file suit, even though many laws were broken, and even though you suffered from the cumulative overvaluation and overtaxation via the fraud. However, where it does make sense, larger homes, industrial, retail, income properties, ag land being stripped of its ag designation, those who have the privilege to know have the duty to help. You cannot sit on your ass and not get involved. The goal, method one, would be to bankrupt the CADs, force them out of existence, as we have seen now in Missouri as of yesterday, force the CAD to return all 2024 overtaxation above 2023. It can be done. Find the corruption wherever it is and expose it. Break those who would dare break your family, friends, and you. Method number two, eliminate property taxes so you can own the land under your investment. Taxes will still exist via sales taxes, which is fine, as these are quantitative, meaning no subjectivity by appraisers and the elimination of all fact, making a living off the theft of your real estate tax dollars. mockingbirdproperties.com/DCAD contains the methods, laws, charts, layouts, spreadsheets, such that you can use our efforts to help guide you to suit the circumstances of your property.
Mitch, first and foremost, thank you to the viewers. I hope that made sense to you. In other words, it's not that hard. A couple things I want to talk about that hit me when you were reading that. Y'all, only think about this, guys. Like, it's easier than you think for us to make change. It is easier because you that are watching this just need to stand up. If only 0.5% of homeowners start protesting the values of their houses, the lawsuits double. The protesting doubles. The county starts to realize there is a problem. The taxpayer will not get bullied anymore. But if you get bullied and you roll over, they will take advantage of you. We have to fight. It's not even a real fight. It's not. You're not even going to get hurt. By fighting, you will win. Join the cause, you guys. Now, I want to move on to, before we go into what's happening around in other states, Mitch, can you read the letter word for word that you wrote to the judge in that ISD, in that school district? So you guys, just to reiterate, Mitch is fighting. Mitch is spearheading all of this, and he's putting his words into action. Can you read that letter, Mitch?
Sure. So on 7/23/24, there was another TAD, Tarrant Appraisal District meeting. And I've been in communications with the judge, and they were rather proud of that meeting with the attempt to stop and freeze the taxes for 2024. And they reached out and said, okay, what do you think? And I actually sat and listened to all 3 hours and was not impressed, to say the least. So I created a letter that I sent to the judge, and it says, "Hi, Ruth. I keep thinking about your question with regard to the TAD meeting. I listened to the entire tape, and we downloaded it, and we are transcribing the relevant parts for the court. Briefly, there are several reasons why the TAD meeting is of no value to the real estate taxpayers, and they are: 1, the reappraisal has been in law for many years, and a CAD can do that annually or every 3 years. It's up to the CAD. This statement does not take away the liability from violating mass appraisal standards. 2, the 2 or 3 year freeze on values does nothing to lower the current assessed values, which were fraudulently and cumulatively created at least since 2016. 3, as has been proven by the certified tax rolls, any savings to the property owner is made up in the following years by the CAD overriding the values on top of the CAMA software outside of the mass appraisal system, USPAP, Texas Property Tax Code, the Texas Constitution under uniform and equal. 4, the property valuation study as determined by the Texas State Comptroller has the effect of the comptroller overriding and demanding increases in property values from the chief appraisers of each district. There is no law that allows the Texas Comptroller to set initial market values or assessed values at any CAD, yet the CADs do the bidding of the comptroller and the taxing entities. 5, the freeze of values for whatever time continues the damage to the real estate taxpayers because it continues a cumulative effect of year after year increases, which will be made up, and or many taxing entities will have to file bankruptcy, which based on the cumulative fraud is exactly what should happen to them. In my world, when your liabilities are greater than your assets, that equals bankruptcy. 37% of the households are in harm's way of losing their homes or filing bankruptcy. There is no money to be had to continue the abuse. The households don't understand the cause of the problem. They just live the problem. Just like the TAD board is ignorant of the requirements in law, USPAP, Texas Property Tax Code, and Texas Constitution, they turn a blind eye toward the damage being done and further creating the illusion that TAD is doing something about the problem, when in reality, the evidence shows they are not. In combination or individually, the above shows the kabuki theater. If people, the board, ARBs, chief appraisers, etc., are not willing to take the time to understand the law and their requirements under the law, for which ignorance is no excuse, then the liability is on them. Our case is actually rather simple. Either the law exists or it doesn't. We're asking the court to confirm that the law, Texas Property Tax Code, USPAP, Texas Constitution exist, and that DCAD and all CADs adhere to the law.
Thank you, Mitch. And that is incredibly powerful. I didn't want, for the viewers, that may have been a little heavy. That may have not been entertaining, but I could not interrupt Mitch. That was incredibly powerful, very easy and simple to understand. Now, what I want to do, Mitch, is I want to tell the viewers that, first of all, the amount of people that have come forward, attorneys, homeowners, just whistleblowers, shocking. One of the people that you've introduced me to is Jeremy. He's actually a huge appraiser out in California. And Jeremy was able to tie how the taxpayers are really on the hook for all of this, because ultimately Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac purchased this. The Fed owns Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The taxpayer fed Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So actually the taxpayer is on the hook for everything. But more importantly, he also told me, and he explained how it's a nationwide problem, and that, there are multiple states that haven't even adapted as required by law the USPAP, including the Carolinas, Washington, Nevada, California. So it's crazy. The nationwide fraud is crazy. People are coming forward. And what I wanted to do real quick is get your reaction, Mitch, on a video of basically, and this is great, Jackson County in Missouri, they actually found that the CAD and proved by law that they were overvaluing these property homeowners the whole time. And then when they asked for the refund, well, you know what? Just listen to what they have to say.
Begin with breaking news on the Jackson County property assessments. Late this evening, the Missouri State Tax Commission makes a stunning move, declaring 75% of property assessments were incorrect and must be paid back to property owners. Good evening, I'm Laura Moritz. It says all properties who saw a value increase of more than 15% have to be rolled back to 15%. The only exception is if the increase was caused by new construction. Jackson County legislator Sean Smith shared his reaction to this order on social media. Smith says he's stunned by this development and he doesn't know what's next.
We don't have this money anymore, right? How we unwind this, what that's going to look like, is the next step for sure. My goal is to get our county attorneys on board, and I hope that my fellow legislators will go along with this, so that instead of continuing to fight against the taxpayers and best interest of our county, they will step up and say, okay, we will help you comply with the law. We will help the county make sure they comply with the law.
There's a couple things there that he said. They already spent the money. There is no refund. They actually need that money. We just read School ISD saying that actually if you don't increase the assessment values 10% and remove the right to protest, we're going to go bankrupt, even though 0.5% of people are protesting. I don't know how that makes sense. So again, you guys stand up, we will knock them out. But also, you know, one of the things though, Mitch, because I was listening to that guy at the end that I kind of like what he said is, well, first of all, he seems snaky and sneaky, but he said something that we're going to help them adhere to the existing law. What do you have to say about them spending our money and them not adhering to the existing law?
I can't make it any clearer. These school districts, many of these taxing entities are bankrupt. When you're bankrupt, there is no fix. It's over. You do not have the ability to get money from these taxpayers when 37% of your population, your household population, is going to file bankruptcy and or lose their homes. I cannot make this any clearer. The idea that you legislators keep wanting to put a Band-Aid on something that is irretrievably corrupt and bankrupt is absurdity. It doesn't work. Stop pretending that you can fix this. You can't. The only fix, file bankruptcy and completely reorganize. That's the whole purpose of this. Get rid of the fat in the middle, stop stealing money from the public, and recognize the damage that you have caused across the United States. And this is trillions of dollars of damage. This isn't just Denton Central Appraisal District. The reality is I'm in Denton. So we've been able to assemble all this information that's seen on the website, but the percentages, and this is what's so interesting, it doesn't matter what the county is. There's a denominator. If you simply take the median household income, that's the denominator. You plug that in across our spreadsheets and poof, up comes the actual damage. When your chief appraisers in your district say, well, our median household value is X, they're lying. There's no math to back them up. When your legislators make these statements like this guy just did, he's culpable in a criminal conspiracy to defraud. He's known as a person with knowledge. When you're told you're breaking the law and you choose to do nothing, you've violated your state laws, you've also violated your federal laws. Stop pretending and trying to get yourself out of this mess. You can't.
And Mitch, here's the other issue that I want to bring to light here. And all of this has happened like on August 9th. I don't know why August 9th, so many reports came out, but I want the viewers to understand the CAD is like that milestone of fraud. There's a lot of things that go through the CAD that actually generate money, generate tax revenue. The CAD is so important. And Mitch, this extends well past schools. There's other municipalities. And I want to read an article that came out, actually, just the bullet points here that came out, again, August 9th. Everything's coming out August 9th. This is crazy. The unemployment insurance program is unprepared for a recession, experts say. So it sounds like the unemployment, well, first of all, at least finally they're acknowledging, oh, wait, maybe we should prepare for a recession because almost every single indicator is saying that we're going to go into recession. But whatever, right? History doesn't matter. Math doesn't matter. Their bottom line matters. We know that. 3 bullet points. The U.S. unemployment rate has drifted upward the past year, fueling recession concerns. Again, the trajectory, not the actual low 4.3%. It's what's going on under the hood. Number two, and by the way, that's low. It's probably a lot higher, by the way. But number two, the unemployment insurance program buckled during the COVID-19 pandemic under the deluge of claims. Number three, experts say the system for unemployment benefits is ill-equipped to handle the next economic downturn. Now, Mitch, I'm going to say we're already in a downturn, and the only reason we've avoided recession is the government deficit spending, which is making the problem worse, as Austrian economics explains this. But my question to you is, things are falling apart at the seams very suddenly. Like you said, it starts slow, and then the bankruptcy hits. Can you explain, whether or not you know of any more, municipalities or even government programs that can potentially be bankrupt over this?
First of all, the reality is that the problems we're seeing here on a national scale start with the gaslighting. What you just heard and said, well, we're not in a recession. Yeah, we are in a recession by any definition. They move the goalposts in order to state that, well, we're not looking at these numbers, but we don't want to pay attention to these numbers over here. We are in a recession. The public is being gaslit. First thing. Second thing, when you understand that there is no money, where is this money going to come from? Like, there's literally no money today to pay for the bonds that have been created by these taxing entities. And yes, that includes municipalities, that includes school districts. School districts are the biggest offenders. And it's not that anybody is saying that the taxes don't have to be paid, but not to the point of theft, and not to the point of bankrupting people, and not to the point of saying, yeah, pay us the taxes or we're going to take the house you own. So the cumulative effect, and that's why I'm saying, is trillions across the United States. We have LA, Chicago, Miami. These are all people in Florida, Carolinas. Anybody and anything that touches USPAP, in truth, has now been weaponized against the taxpayers. USPAP is not being adhered to, which means they have made up the fraud for multiple years, and there is no way out of this box. It's irrefutable. I've got a list of documents right here. I don't even know if you can see it, but every single document on here is being ignored by the CADs. These are their documents. So the point of the matter is, when you say, well, they don't have enough money in unemployment insurance, well, okay, no kidding. You can't generate it.
So I want to close this out here by taking a look at something called Operation Twist. You've given me this motivation. You've broken me out, Mitch, and I am hungry to get to the bottom of this. I'm hungry for this story. And when I think about what happened, and I look back, and we're going to, again, talk about Operation Twist, realistically, we should have affordability today that's 2014 levels. We should have the same levels of affordability as 2014. In my opinion, and our families and our households should be thriving. Our children's education should be excelling. Our health care, our health benefits should be fantastic. But instead of those things, what it appears happened is they just taxed our future, taxed the schools, the unemployment, education, and bailed out the banks instead. They bailed out the banks instead. This is called mortgage-backed securities. The taxpayers pay for that. Our future children pay for that. Instead of helping our households, our children, our lives, all that happened, guys, is they protected the banks and the elites. And I wanted to show you this program real quick, Mitch. Starting with the mortgage-backed securities. And again, this is when 2012. That's when Operation Twist really accelerated, and I'll show you that. But look at the amount of mortgage-backed securities. This is crime. This is criminal. Okay, this is criminal. So what I am saying is, instead of spending these billions up to $1 trillion in saving the elites, maybe this money should have not been spent at all, actually. But if it was spent, maybe it should have been spent on the school districts, improving education, doing surveys to figure out where our children need help in. But they didn't. They took that money and they gave it away to the top 1%. Now this goes on. Here it is right here, guys. So if you're wondering, what is he talking about? Okay, the Fed will continue its existing policy known as Operation Twist. This is an article from 2012. Together, the two programs will add $85 billion in long-term bonds to the Fed's balance sheet. Okay? So my question again is, why? Why did they do this? And then my other question is why did we allow them? Now, let's listen to a video from Ben Bernanke talking about why he's requesting this.
1%, the unemployment rate, is nearly unchanged since the beginning of the year and is well above normal levels. To help bolster the recovery and promote price stability, the FOMC has provided unprecedented levels of policy accommodation in recent years. With inflation anticipated to run at or below our 2% objectives, the committee has become convinced that further policy accommodation is warranted to strengthen the recovery and support the gains we've begun to see in housing and other sectors. Specifically, the committee decided to purchase additional agency mortgage-backed securities, or MBS, at a pace of $40 billion per month. The program of MBS purchases should increase the downward pressure on long-term interest rates more generally, but also on mortgage rates specifically, which should provide further support for the housing sector by encouraging home purchases and refinancing. And if we do not see substantial improvement in the outlook for the labor market, we will continue the MBS purchase program, undertake additional asset purchases, and employ our policy tools as appropriate until we do. We will, as always, take appropriate account of the inflation outlook and of their efficacy and costs. FOMC participants see an economic outlook that remains uncertain. The economy continues to face economic headwinds, including the situation in Europe, tight credit for some borrowers, and fiscal contraction at the federal, state, and local levels. The Federal Reserve is fully committed to both sides of its mandate, to price stability as well as to maximum employment.
That was in 2012, by the way. I don't think we had a recession in 2012, but okay. Mitch, can we say that mortgage-backed security purchasing is kind of criminal, it's kind of fraud, and it's really just a way for them to protect the elite?
Mortgage-backed securities, credit default swaps, credit loan obligations. It's straight up cocaine. It's a weapon of mass destruction. They all are. See, the cumulative effect of what's happened here, as I said, are in the trillions of dollars. But in quantitative finance, you have something that's called smoothing. So instead of having these huge gyrations up and down, you have something that kind of goes like this, just kind of bops along. Well, the gyrations that are caused by the Federal Reserve and these stupid statements of, well, the sky is blue this day, and if this is going to happen that day, and interest rates are going to go down, it's all complete nonsense because it's all a fraud. And that's what we're dealing with now. Today, we are at the tipping point. The cumulative effect of all these years of the financial engineering by the Federal Reserve that has never been on the right side of anything in its history, including the Great Depression, has caused the problem where we are right now. And if you think it's not big enough, go to the debt clock of the US government, go to the debt clock of the Canadian government, and you're going to be horrified. Do you know that the average taxpayer in the United States right now, as of yesterday sometime, was $254,000. The average taxpayer, $254,000 in national debt. And that doesn't even talk about the off-balance sheet financing problems, i.e. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. It's not even there.
It's based on fraud. The 250 is based on fraud numbers.
It's based on national debt. It's a very simple number. That's $254,000 per taxpayer.
In other words, Mitch, like to be alive, just to have a pulse in the United States, we have $250,000 hanging over us
immediately, as of yesterday. It's probably up to $256,000 today. But the point of the matter is it's bad, right? How is the average real estate taxpayer going to cover that off? And the answer is they aren't. And therein lies the problem. The only thing that is holding this economy together right now today is a giant thread of fraud. And the sooner the people wake up and understand that fact, then the faster we can deal with it. Because every day that goes by, the compounding effect is cutting against the very underpinnings of the United States of America. And by the way, it's not just here, right? I mean, other countries do it as well. They've debted themselves past the point of payment. China, Europe, European Union. But it doesn't make it right? 3 idiots in a room are still 3 idiots in a room.
Yeah, it becomes even more of an idiot room. 3 heads are not always better than one if you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You need one, non-idiot to really make an impact. But Mitch, let's go into the solution. I want to give you the final words, but from this video and from talking to you and this research we've done, I would say the solution here, and this is to the viewers now, the solution here is you. And it doesn't even require a lot of people. It just requires even 1% of you guys that are listening to this video, just 1%. It will make change. He just went over only 0.5% of homeowners even move forward, in enhancing the protests. So guys, change literally is this close. That's how close the change is to us. Now, if you don't own a house, if you're renting, you can still help us, guys. The petition is in the description. Please, guys, help us sign the petition. It may not seem like it's a big deal, but it is. Now, Mitch, I want to leave you with the last words here how do we end this video with a positive message?
On our website, we have given the public, mom and pop, the ability to go and protest their taxes without any outside real estate tax consultants. They don't need them. You can do it on your own. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of effort. We've set it up for you. That would help immensely, because in reality, if the amount of protests are doubled up and the amount of lawsuits are doubled up, the CADs can't operate, right? By law, they have to be able to handle that. They've got to be able to provide the ARB panels. They've got to have the appraisers. They don't have the horsepower. So yes, we are in fact causing problems for them by educating the public. However, they are stealing your money. And our job here is to let you know that they're stealing your money and how they're doing it, and give you the ability to fight it. For those people who have money, i.e. the commercial property owners, those people who have the privilege to know have a duty to help. You have to pull the trigger and file the constitutional suits, file the suits on value, do what you have to do to destroy your CAD. Go after the people who are violating the laws. Doesn't matter if it's the ARB members. If they violated their oath, we're going to post a 10-page document on this video that literally outlines every law that is being broken. You can pick and choose from those laws and apply it to your own circumstance. We're handing it to you on a silver platter. Sitting still isn't an option. You've got to get your own house in order as fast as possible, and you have to get involved. You can't sit still anymore.
I love you, man. I love you, Mitch. You guys give another hand to Mitch, our community expert in all things fraud, our community expert on bringing us together. Mitch, it's been an absolute pleasure, sir. I'm going to get us out of here. Again, everything's going to be linked in the description. You guys check it out, print it. This man has done so much work for you, and especially if you want to open a suit against the CADs, he's probably saved you like $25,000 in attorney fees because he has the whole thing laid out for you. Test him, guys. Test him. Now, other than that, you guys are out there investing in real estate. You guys already know we wish you luck, and we hope you win.